welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The late afternoon sun cast a golden hue over the kitchen as I stood by the counter, my wife's voice breaking through the calm. "Could you grab me some headache pills from my bag, hon?" she called from the living room, her tone weary yet sweet. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Sure, just a sec," I responded, moving towards the hallway where her bag lay slumped against the wall, a silent witness to her frequent late nights and sudden trips. As I rummaged through the contents, lipstick, a small notebook, a tangled set of earphones, a metallic glint caught my eye. Curious, I pulled out a set of keys with an unfamiliar keychain, a miniature of the Eiffel Tower. Odd, I thought, we hadn't visited Paris together. The keys jangled lightly in my hand as I turned them over. There was an address tag attached, 42 Montrose Avenue, apartment 12. A part of the city I rarely visited, and certainly not a place I associated with my wife, Sarah. I stilled, the keys cold in my palm. My mind raced, should I confront her? But the bitter taste of past lies made me reconsider. I knew she'd weave some plausible tale. Swallowing the lump in my throat, I decided to keep this discovery to myself, a silent observer for now. Stuffing the keys back into the depths of her bag, I retrieved the pills and walked back into the living room. Sarah was curled up on the couch, her eyes closed, seemingly in pain. "Here you go," I said, handing her the medicine and a glass of water. "Thanks, love," she murmured, managing a weak smile as she sat up to take the pills. Her phone buzzed, and she glanced at it briefly, her expression unreadable before she turned it face down. The secrecy wasn't new, but today, it gnawed at me more than usual. As I sat down next to her, watching her lean back and close her eyes, a plan began to form in my mind. Tomorrow, I decided, I would visit 42 Montrose Avenue and see for myself what secrets it held. The keys were not just a pass to an apartment, they were the gateway to the hidden facets of Sarah's life. And I needed to know, even if the truth was as dark as the suspicions swirling in my mind. That night, as Sarah slept soundly beside me, I lay awake, the image of the Eiffel Tower keychain haunting me. It was a symbol of romance, but for me, it had become a harbinger of secrets. My heart ached with a mix of dread and determination. By tomorrow, I would have my answers, or at least, the start of them. And so, with the first light of dawn painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, I dressed quietly and left the house with a single resolve, to uncover the truth hidden behind the keys in my unfaithful wife's bag. The morning air is crisp as I park my car a block away from the address on the key tag. 42 Montrose Avenue doesn't look like a place for clandestine meetings. It's a quaint, red brick building nestled between a bustling cafe and a dry cleaner's. I adjust my baseball cap and sunglasses, hoping they give me enough anonymity. I'm not alone in my surveillance. An elderly man walks his dog while a young mother pushes a stroller nearby. Normal life swirls around me, starkly contrasting the turmoil inside me as I wait, watching the entrance of the apartment building. Nearly an hour passes before I see her, Sarah. She's dressed casually but elegantly, a stark contrast to her usual business attire. She glances around nervously before entering the building. My heart races as I realize this is really happening. My wife, the woman I pledged my life to, is walking into an apartment that's a secret to me, her husband. I wait a few minutes longer, ensuring she doesn't come back out, perhaps having forgotten something in her car. But she doesn't. Taking a deep breath, I follow, entering the lobby of the building. It's nicer inside than I expected, with polished marble floors and modern art on the walls. I press the button for the elevator, my hands shaking slightly. As I reach the third floor, I exit the elevator and find apartment 12. The door is ajar, which strikes me as odd. I pause, listening. Laughter echoes from within, a man's laughter, unfamiliar and unsettling. Steeling myself, I inch closer, peering through the gap. The sight that greets me is one I've dreaded yet half expected. Sarah, my wife, is with a man I've never seen. He's tall, with an athletic build, and much younger than me. They seem comfortable, intimate. I watch, hidden by the shadows, as she pulls out a doctor's costume from a bag and begins to dress up, their laughter mingling with flirtatious teasing. I'm rooted to the spot, a mix of anger and heartache knotting in my stomach. The man notices something off, his eyes flicking to the door. I duck back just in time, my heart pounding in my ears. They didn't see me, but it's a close call. Back in the safety of the stairwell, I lean against the cold wall, trying to process everything. It's one thing to suspect, another to witness. I know I can't confront her here, not yet. I need a plan, something to ensure I don't lose everything in a moment of rage. Returning to my car, I sit with the engine off, my mind racing. It's then that I notice someone approaching, a woman from the building, perhaps in her 50s, her expression one of mild curiosity. She taps on my window, and I roll it down hesitantly. "First time tailing someone?" she asks, a wry smile playing on her lips. I'm taken aback by her bluntness. "Is it that obvious?" "A bit," she chuckles, then her expression softens. "Look, I don't know what your story is, but if you need help figuring things out, I used to be a private investigator. I'm retired now, but I've seen that look before." I'm hesitant, but her offer is too timely to ignore. "Could I talk to you over coffee?" I ask, desperate for any guidance. "Sure," she nods. "But just so you know, the truth can sometimes be more painful than the lies we live with." As we walk toward the nearby cafe, I realize that this stranger might just be my unexpected ally in unraveling the web of deceit that's entangled my life. The cafe is warm and inviting, a stark contrast to the cold turmoil brewing within me. The woman, who introduces herself as Joan, chooses a secluded corner booth. Her eyes, sharp and discerning, scan the room before settling on me with an expectant lift of her eyebrows. "So, what's got you playing detective?" Joan asks as soon as we sit down, her voice low and steady. I hesitate, the weight of my discovery anchoring my words. "It's my wife," I start, my voice a mere whisper. "I found keys to an apartment I knew nothing about, and today, I saw her there with another man." Joan nods, unsurprised. "And you followed her here, saw something you wish you hadn't." "Exactly." The words feel bitter in my mouth. I don't know what to do next. I mean, what can I do? Joan sips her coffee, her gaze never leaving mine. "Well, you've got choices. Confront her with what you know, dig deeper, or walk away. But from the look on your face, I'd say walking away isn't something you're considering." "No, it's not," I admit. "I need to know everything. Why she's doing this, who the other man is." "Okay," Joan says, setting her cup down. "First, we need more information. Surveillance, maybe some background checks on this mystery man. You up for that?" I nod, feeling a mix of anxiety and resolve. "Yes, I'm in." "Good," Joan replies with a decisive nod. "I'll help you set up surveillance. We'll need a couple of cameras, maybe a voice recorder. And you'll need to be careful. If she catches on, you could lose any advantage you have." We spend the next hour discussing logistics, with Joan sketching out basic surveillance techniques and legal considerations. Her professionalism is reassuring, lending me a sliver of confidence in this chaos. As we wrap up our meeting, Joan hands me a small card. "Call me tomorrow. We'll start first thing. And hey," she adds, her tone softening, "be prepared for anything. Sometimes the truth isn't just about what people do, but why they do it." I thank her and step out into the brisk air, my mind a whirl of plans and possibilities. On my way home, I purchase a couple of discrete cameras and a digital voice recorder, as Joan suggested. That night, after ensuring Sarah is asleep, I install one camera in the living room and hide another in her car. The work feels foreign, like I'm a character in a spy novel, only the sinking feeling in my stomach is very real. The next morning, I wake early, my eyes heavy with a lack of sleep. I check the camera feeds first thing, nothing unusual so far. Sarah is still asleep, and the world outside is just beginning to stir. I call Joan to inform her everything is set up. Good, she says. Now we wait. Keep an eye on those feeds, but try to act normal. Any change in your behavior could tip her off. Got it, I assure her, though I'm not sure how I can possibly act normal with my marriage unraveling by the minute. As I hang up, I settle in front of my computer, the live feed from the living room filling the screen. Sarah stirs, and I watch her wake up, stretch, and finally pick up her phone. She types something quickly, her expression unreadable. The waiting is agony, each second a stretch of tension and fear. But I'm committed. I need to know the full extent of her betrayal, whatever the cost. As Joan said, I have to be prepared for anything. The journey to uncover the truth about my wife has just begun, and I brace myself for what is to come. Days of surveillance morph into weeks. Each day, I grow more accustomed to the routine of checking the camera feeds, listening to recordings, the constant vigilance slowly gnawing at the edges of my sanity. Sarah continues her visits to the apartment on Montrose Avenue, her behavior at home oscillating between affectionate and distant. Joan and I meet frequently, reviewing hours of footage and discussing our next moves. It's during one of these meetings that she taps her laptop, a thoughtful frown knitting her brow. There's something off about this man she's meeting. I can't quite place it, but I think there's more to him. What do you mean? I ask, leaning over to look at the screen displaying a still image of the man. I did some digging. This guy, name's Marcus, has connections to a well-known therapy group in the city, specializes in unconventional therapeutic methods. It's not just an affair, there's a professional angle here we're missing. The puzzle pieces refuse to fit together, leaving more questions than answers. We decide to delve deeper into Marcus's background, hoping it will shed light on Sarah's involvement with him. Another week passes before we get the break we need. I notice an unusual pattern in Sarah's messages from the recorder hidden in her car, frequent mentions of sessions and progress. Armed with this new information, Joan and I decide to confront Marcus directly. We track him down at a local conference where he's speaking on modern therapy techniques. After his talk, we approach him, my heart pounding in my chest. Marcus, a word. Joan's voice is calm but carries an authoritative edge. Marcus turns, his face registering surprise. Yes. How can I help you? We know about the sessions at Montrose Avenue, I cut in, unable to keep the emotion from my voice. What are you doing with my wife? For a moment, Marcus looks between us, his expression unreadable. Then, he sighs. I was wondering when you'd come asking. If you'll follow me, I think it's better we talk in private. He leads us to a quiet corner of the venue. Your wife, Sarah, has been part of a therapeutic role-playing group I facilitate. It helps individuals deal with trauma and personal issues through controlled scenarios. It's all consensual and therapeutic. But why the secrecy? I demand. Marcus nods, understanding. Many of our clients prefer anonymity. They fear judgment or misunderstanding from those not involved. The revelation hits me like a wave. Had Sarah been dealing with something she felt she couldn't share with me? The thought pains me deeply. We need to speak to her, Joan interjects. Now that we know the truth, she needs to be part of this conversation. We arrange to meet Sarah at our home. When she arrives, seeing Marcus and Joan by my side, her face crumples. James, she starts, tears brimming in her eyes. I know about the therapy, I say before she can continue, my voice softer. Why didn't you tell me? Sarah takes a deep breath. I was ashamed. After the miscarriage last year, I've been a mess, emotionally. Marcus's group promised a way to heal, to deal with the grief I couldn't express. The pieces fall into place, the misunderstanding and secrecy morphing into a tableau of pain and healing. We spend the next hours talking, really talking, for the first time in months. The story closes on a note of tentative reconciliation. We agree to start attending couples therapy, to rebuild the trust and intimacy eroded by secrets and silence. Sarah discontinues the sessions with Marcus, now ready to face her pain with me by her side. As Joan leaves, she gives me a knowing look. Sometimes, she says, the truth isn't just about discovering secrets, it's about understanding the reasons behind them and finding a way to heal together. The journey through suspicion and surveillance ends not with the explosion of betrayal I had braced for but with the quiet understanding of shared pain and the hope for a new beginning.